is Val with Dragonfly Crystals and Next Level Channeling. I'm so excited to have Linda Grindell with us. Linda G, Comanche Psychic, as we all know and love her. And it's such an honor to have you here. I'm so excited. And you know, I ran out immediately. That's how I got my copy, because
Did you get it on
I got
Amazon?
it from Amazon. Like, yes, on Amazon immediately. I heard, oh, my book's out. And I went, snapped it right up.
And we're going to do a second printing because there's a lot of, they cut off half the story of my friend Terry. Half of it wasn't there because when I did the auto, I'm like, where's the rest of the story? And they didn't put Achilles, the name of the Greek philosopher for the very last poem, which was Robert Kennedy's favorite.
Yeah.
That got cut off too. So her and I are going to do another.
That's good. That's good. Does it cost any more?
No, you just self-publishing. Do a second printing. Yeah.
Okay,
that's good. The thing about Amazon, because I'll be honest with you, I maybe thought if I was lucky, I'd sell 100 books.
Oh, I could have told you that was not going to be what happened.
Amazon, what they do is they take half. Oh, so you know, for me, that's cool. That's like they do on YouTube too. It's fine with me.
Yeah. YouTube is pretty stiff on that. It's like 30% of whatever, even your
your donations.
Yeah.
But they take half, and they keep you updated. KDP Publishing, self-publishing, and it's no fuss, no muss.
That's good to know. And I have a bunch of questions about that.
They deliver too.
I hope they
deliver it too.
They deliver it. Oh yeah, that's the good part. Is what if you self-published and went to a publishing house that didn't do distribution, like to bookstores, like B. Dalton or whatever, and you just had to mail it out from home? That would be
I did do almost 50 books Friday because I finally got the hard copies. I ordered them February 27th, and I just got them like last week.
Oh my God.
Friday I filled out a whole bunch to mail. I still have more to send, and to Australia, you have to have one of those things, those papers done. So I have to fill out those.
Yeah, you have to have that international form.
I went and where was I going with this? So I went to the United States Postal Office with book rates.
Yeah.
And they're in a nice little box. I ordered book boxes, $60 to mail out 50.
That isn't bad, actually, because I've sent packages to people, and just across, I'm in the West Coast, and to send it to the East Coast, it's cost me $25 and $30 just for one medium-sized box. So 60
UPS
books. Yes, exactly. That's not bad at all, actually. So here we are. I have a lot of those self-publishing questions, but I want to dive in a little bit into your book, which is Unveiling the Extraordinary. And I just want to thank you for writing that book and sharing your journey with us, because it really is showing just an ordinary life and all these unbelievably mystic and powerful moments that transcend and change you in ways that you know, in a normal day, this would never happen, but it happened.
Yeah. And the guides are the ones that told me to start YouTube, and I found them and I started it. Boy, they were right on that.
They've been right. Well, I mean, they are the guides.
They're pushing 70,000 subscribers now.
I know. Oh my gosh. I remember my beginning of watching you was, I think, in 2019.
I just started.
You had just started, and I was having a hard time with the orange one, with the Trump thing. So I found you, and you just, everything you said that you were on YouTube to do, you did for me. You calmed me down and made me feel a lot better.
Because I said, wait a second, no, I don't want to do this. Hi, Lisa. I don't want to do this. And they said, and I don't want to get up and brush my hair. And they said, Linda, you will calm them down.
And you did such a beautiful job of that. And to this day, when I listen to you, it makes me feel better when you
Really?
talk about, yeah, when you talk about Biden will definitely be in there.
He'll
And
bet definitely. I just did my show with Sterling. Like I
yeah,
told everybody, when you're going to worry is if Sterling says,
yeah,
because Sterling, the reason I met Sterling is I met his wife and I did a reading with her and she
yeah,
says, "Oh, my husband." I said, "What?" She said, "Well, back when Trump ran the first time, he said Trump was going to win. I begged him to relook and reconsider, but he kept saying, yeah, he's going to win." So I said, "Let me meet this man." So then him and I were talking. I said, "So what do you think's coming up?" He goes, "He's going to lose." I said, "Yay. You want to be on my show?" And then that's when he started,
yeah,
taking off himself. But
yeah.
yeah,
And
and
I
he says
love,
he's going to win this time.
oh yeah, I'm just really, really relieved of that. And even with all the Trump trial delays and all the stuff going on, it's so nice to listen that it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
One
it
time I
doesn't
looked at the
matter.
TV and they were talking about,
Yeah,
they're desperately trying to get something done. Like
yeah,
the one in New York, the other one, he's going to be found guilty, but it's not going to matter. The Trumpsters are for Trump. And the guy
exactly.
just said to me, "You know what? At the end of the day, Linda, you tell everybody it doesn't matter. He's going to lose."
That's, and you know what? The icing on the cake is that it doesn't matter how many delays, whatever's going on, although it sounds like Letitia James is going forward on the, but we're here to talk about your book. She's going forward on the season. She's already got her ducks in a row. Okay. And the bank account is one of the first things, but that's another story. We're
Yeah.
here about you,
You should
Linda.
watch Sterling with me today. He has a little different.
I never miss it. And even though you're going to once a month, I will continue to watch it.
Yeah,
Surely.
because he's also busy. He has another business and he's really crazy busy. Hi, Dan. Hi, Sherry. Everybody's happening. This is where it's happening.
Yeah, this is where it's happening. Although I know there's a few lives going on right now, but I have Linda G. So this is premium here.
So, well, I got to tell you, I'm more than honored how people bought this book.
Oh man,
I sent it.
You just don't know. You don't realize how you have shifted people and changed their lives.
Thank you.
And you brought them to a new way of looking at things in many ways, with everything you say about not, staying neutral and not getting all excited and feeling, animosity toward this political figure or that. And you really steer people in the right direction.
Well, the thing is, it's like you can't be so reactive.
Yeah, you have to be neutral. You have to stay in that place where you don't get triggered. Because when you get triggered, and you always say this, you will attract that.
Hi, Mikey.
You will attract that. So anyway, when you were writing your book, I really love your book, by the way, because I can hear you speak. When I'm reading the words, it's like having Linda.
That's what people say. It's like you were sitting next to me at the kitchen table.
Yeah,
I did the audio, by the way. That should be out in another week or so.
Oh, excellent. Well, I have to say, my first question is, as you approached your writing, how did you overcome that feeling of vulnerability? You know that feeling.
Do you know that psychic reader, Lisa Williams?
Yeah.
She's kind of famous. She had her
I do know her. Yeah.
Is she from Australia or something?
She is from Australia or Britain. She has the accent. So,
well, years ago, she told me, I had a reading with her. This is like before YouTube.
Yeah.
And she said, "You're going to write a book." And I had kind of heard that, but just like when they said you're going to start a YouTube channel, I was like, yeah, whatever. And she said, "Your parents are standing here and they want you to know it's okay. You can tell them the truth.
You can say,
because I was raised in an environment that you kept everything to yourself."
You just gave me the chills. Yes. And our parents were brought up. I'm the same age as you. Our parents were brought up they kept things private. And
You
so
always did.
we're the second generation of that, keeping things private. So,
But see, I was raised in a very violent atmosphere.
Yeah, you
and
were.
you couldn't talk about the terror you were living in.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And but Dad accepted the fact that he had done this, and he was okay with me telling people, because it's how I became who I am today.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that I'm going to ask about here, is about your this in fact it was what your parents, when I refer back to becoming strong, becoming steel, backstage, your parents and your upbringing, that you came in to hone yourself. You chose to come in and go through all this to get yourself to be a powerful platform for what you're doing now. So it was always written, and it was always meant to be. And I love that you let it happen. You allowed it at the highest level it could come through, because you could have been an actress in New York. But what is the highest level of being a platform out in public? It would be changing people's lives in a positive way. And so I think your dad, what holding you back from the New York thing, it felt like that man, some higher guidance was having him do that.
And the other thing is, I don't know if I would have lived through it, because I was so off my rocker.
Yeah.
I probably would be dead. Because but yes, once I got free of him, but it was such a restricted environment that I just followed the realm that I was going to do. But I always had that connections that there was something greater out there.
Of course, they said you had the third eye. I mean, as it was written, it was already so.
It's the sign of the cross, which is a Catholic. It's got nothing to do with Native. So it's interesting, because, my mom was always angry at Catholics.
Well, you have a Jesus connection. So
well, they were atheists. And I saw Jesus when I was 8 years old, living color. And I didn't even know who he was, but I knew he was something special.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, Jesus isn't affiliated with a religion. He was a Jewish man, for goodness sakes, coming out and talking about how life works.
Well, it's interesting. He came, and of course his interaction with the higher realm was much stronger than mine. But he came to help people help themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a beautiful thing, when you don't take someone's power away, and you just kind of show them a different way of looking at things so they can go about their life in a different way. That's the powerful way of
well, that's the worst sin you can do on this earth, is take someone's free will.
Yes.
That even means by killing them. And sometimes parents are the biggest guilty of doing this, because they're always telling you how you should be. Even when adult children are constantly being told by their parents what direction they should take, you're taking away their free will. You
stifle them. Then you stifle their creativity. Right.
Even though we care for our children, we've got to shake it loose. You got to let them make the decision for them. Because what they'll do is they'll get very independent, and then it creates this weird bond.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like my son thank God, he ended up being so independent, got a job, got his own apartment, doing his thing.
I love to see kids be successful like that.
And he was not one to get his driver's license till he was 19. And all my clients, I'm hearing this left and right. When I was 16, I got my driver's permit at 15. I was driving at 16. But these kids nowadays, they're afraid to drive.
They are a little bit of a different kind of generation. I'm interested to see what they do in the future. But so I wanted to know also what your earliest recollection was of visiting Oklahoma and your Comanche tribal, the ceremonies they have. And I know you go periodically. I think you go every year. But when you were a child, because the next question, I wanted to know how that shaped you and informed who you were as a child growing up, what that was like for you, and what you came away with.
Okay, so how was the question again?
So as you were growing up and you went to, I assume that you went to Oklahoma and to the Comanche tribal ceremonies and things.
When I was an infant, my mother took me, but I didn't get back to Oklahoma until years later. Yeah.
So really, you're only
my connection with
mom.
my cousins in Oklahoma and stuff didn't happen until I knew of them.
Yeah.
But I didn't connect with the tribe until I met the chief, Wallace. And that's when
you met Chief Wallace?
Yeah. Wow. That's when
wow.
My mom would tell me stories and stuff, but my mom had a lot of heartache and anger in her.
Yeah.
And all the family were Mexican natives, and all of them were struggling, and a lot of them were alcoholics. Everybody's clean and sober now.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, I didn't know how to get back there. And then I was looking up something on mom's property. So I flew back there. I think my sister came with me, and we got to meet all the cousins and
that's so great.
Go to the tribe and go to powwows. It was so much fun.
Well, it's probably more meaningful to you now anyway, because you're old enough to understand things. And
when I went in with Wallace, Regina, my cousin, she said, "Oh, she's a psychic man." He said, "You know, us natives, we don't really believe in that spirits." And I proceeded to tell him about his mom, his deceased wife. And then he actually started calling me later to ask me, "By the way, this is going on. What do you think?"
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I love that. But that was a good meeting for you. For him, it was an eye opener. Okay. So I also wanted to know, after your diagnosis and you decided to go on the comedy club circuit, where did you pull that strength from in the midst of all of that?
I was always kind of a one-liner. As you know, I like to tell jokes. And it was sort of my bucket list. And I thought, and I had no breasts, no hair. and I'm older, and these kids, because the comics I ran with, they were young and upcoming.
Yeah.
And they said, "Linda, you know, I guess, you know," I pulled a sob story about cancer. And they said, "Come with us," you know, and they took me to places a lot of comedians only dream about.
Oh, wow.
Including in Hollywood.
And I know all of the clubs because I lived near San Francisco. So you went to a lot of the big.
A lot of them.
Oh, yeah. And I thought, how did she get in there?
I know. Well, it's from the people who were headlining.
That was really amazing.
And also I had large groups that followed me. And, you know, comedians like groups that follow.
Yeah.
So I did it, and you know what? I didn't do it with any intention of making this my thing. I did it as a bucket list. I enjoyed it. I had a good time, and then I decided, well, the YouTube kind of took up my time.
Yeah, it did. It took up a lot of your time, and we all needed you.
Yeah. But it was fun.
A lot, because there was a lot going on, and even today, there's a lot going on. So, you know, we still need you a lot. So I just wanted to know about your healing process and when you actually, at what point in your life you forgave your father and what that was like for you, because I think you had that awakening from the when you were outside and you surrendered. And then later, did you come to that too?
Yeah, because it was sort of immediate, but not immediate, because I said to the realm, because when he said to me, "What are you doing?" when I was begging for my life because my kids were still young, he said, "What are you doing? You know there's no such thing as death," which I do as a nurse, and I've seen spirits leaving dead bodies. And so I felt embarrassed. I thought, yeah, you're right. And then I said, "Into thy hands I commence my spirit." Well, something happened. It's in the book to me in that moment. and I couldn't get the smell of the earth off my hands, which they say is a sign of healing.
Yeah.
And no cancer since then, not a drop. But the forgiveness with Dad, because my mom fell and then never got better, failure to thrive. She died in my home. And then Dad, after she died, fell out of his wheelchair and broke his neck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fractured his neck. And then
Wow.
he became, instead of a paraplegic, a quad, and couldn't transfer. I couldn't take care of him. So he had to go to the VA. But the VA was happy to take him. And we would go see him all the time. But I would say right before and after his death, when I actually felt that total release of anger towards him.
Oh, that's good. So it was just a process of, you were seeing him go through this.
It was terrible.
Yeah, suffering and whatnot. And you had, your compassion grew for him. And at the same time,
But we never had a come to Jesus moment or talking about it. He never once apologized, I realized he was actually sort of blaming my mom before he died. She always made me out to be the bad guy. She always wanted me to punish you kids. I don't believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess it was too hard to look at for him.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he was very angry. He'd scare you to where you were frozen.
I think a lot of men of our father's generation are a little bit stunted emotionally, and they can't quite, they have the anger and they have all of that stuff going on. And they
he married Mom when he was 18. She didn't know. She lied, but she was pregnant with me when she got married.
Yeah.
And then they had my sister, and he became a fireman, and he gave a roof over our heads and stuff. But he was just, Mom got so sick with the arthritis, she couldn't go to work.
That would be impossible, really.
Yeah.
And people that don't have arthritis don't really realize how painful it is to move anything. It's just
her hands were crooked.
Yes, tremendously painful.
She got it when she was 12. She had juvenile arthritis, but I talk to people now, a sudden onset in their 50s.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's hard. That's hard.
My great-great-grandmother, Louisa Matilda Sinoya Comanche, she had rheumatoid arthritis, so it runs in the family. And she would walk with 2 canes, but she lived to be 85, probably because she didn't take things like prednisone and all that.
Probably. I mean, some of those things, like you say it in your book, it actually is, it takes away your body's ability to heal itself.
They told me she
was
failure to thrive because she had been on prednisone for so long.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, what was the greatest hurdle that you had to overcome getting started and finishing your book? So getting yourself to sit down and write it in the beginning, and then finishing it up.
I knew for years they had been done, but the good news is they weren't bugging me like they did with YouTube. Like, get on it. I just sat in front of this computer. I didn't know what the hell I was going to talk about. I just let it happen. And they were like, you're going to write this book. I think Sterling even told me later, because I said, well, I'm in and out. He goes, oh, you're going to finish it. People had more, where they knew I would do it.
Yeah.
And
they believed in you, that there was a book that was coming out of you.
I have a dear friend who's also an Academy Award-winning actress named Patricia Arquette. And she lives in Malibu. And she said, come down to my house in Malibu, sit in paradise. And
you did, because I saw the backyard.
We went through the book, and then I had conceptual outline. Yeah. I had everything I was going to put.
Oh, that was good. So you really knew bullet point by bullet point.
Because before I was trying to tell a story. This one says, just give us the bullet points of what you want to talk about, especially all my cool things, like the woman that said, tell her I can't find my right foot.
Yeah, I remember
Well, guess who was the first person in line for a book signing at Benicia? Her,
the
the
lady.
woman whose mother had died.
I mean,
She
that's
actually had a necklace that her mother owned on.
wow. That is
Just wonderful
amazing.
people.
The synchronicities of life, pretty interesting, right? That you would be there on that day that she would show up. Yeah.
Right. And I
yeah.
even told the guys, if you want me to write this book, you're going to have to help me. But they weren't helping me. I guess, or maybe they had me meet Patty, and then Patty believed in me. And
I think so. She was definitely divinely guided.
She was divinely guided, and it just gave me that ability to do nothing but write.
And that's what you
needed.
You needed to be taken out of your environment, put in another, so that you could just focus on that. And I mean, the bullet points definitely helped organize your thoughts to go through each stage. So if we're budding writers, that is probably a really good method to start with, is get those points down.
Yeah, but I honest to God, I'm not a writer. I just was
telling
a story.
Yes, apparently you are a writer. Apparently you are. So stop saying you're not a writer.
I told Tana we'll self-publish and maybe it'll sell, maybe not. But it's not going to cost me too much money if it doesn't sell. And then I was shocked. And then I was #1 on the New Age spiritual Amazon release. Yeah. And then I was #3. I don't know what I think the last I looked at was 6, because you can't stay up there all the time.
No.
Just keep selling. Yeah. It was so much fun.
Oh my gosh. This is so exciting. And everyone out there, I have the link to Linda's book in the description below to Amazon. And you can get your copy, hardcover or soft cover.
A lot of people, like Ness just said, "Oh, Dan, your book's in the mail, by the way." I think I told them. A lot of people are waiting for the audio.
I was just going to ask, when is the audio coming out?
Tana got this big setup. I had to order a special.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how did that go for you?
She knows. Let me tell you, this girl knows everything. So she's audioed her books. Oh. So you had to have some sort of thing, a screen over the mic. And then we went to the hotel that I put her in Benicia, because there was less street noise. Yeah. Like here, sure enough, the dogs would have started screaming.
Well, of course.
So I did it with her, and we thought it was going to take several days, but we started and it just flowed. Oh, she said, "Linda, you did a good job." And, I tried not to sound nasally, but,
You have to sound like you, though, because it's you.
And I just, kind of went with the flow, and it was actually fun. We only worked on, I think it took about 4 or 5 hours, because you got to pause. It's not like reading a book. You got to start.
I was going to ask. I mean, I didn't know how, because if you do a blooper, do you back up and get rid of it?
Yeah, she has a way on the thing to go back and do it again.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of intimidating. To have to read it out loud, and
I know. And then I found mistakes. Like the story of my good friend who died of leukemia in 1971. And I could always find her grave whenever I went there. It's very blotched. It's like part of it's missing. So I don't know if that happened in the printing. So we're going to redo the printing.
Yeah.
When the audio comes out, we're going to stop this printing and start another with all the stuff. And
now I'm going to have to order another copy of your book.
Well, just little things. And then Akili, the Teardrop by Teardrops poem at the very end, which was Robert Kennedy's favorite. Yeah. It's the author is, how do you say it? Asiles or something like that. It's a Greek philosopher. It was Robert Kennedy's favorite. Anyway, that was cut off.
Oh.
So, I wouldn't get in trouble because he's been dead 6,000 years. But anyway, that was cut off. So I want to make sure, the author's name is on there. So we'll put that in.
Absolutely. You don't mean Aristotle, do you?
No.
You wouldn't quote Aristotle. So another thing I wanted to ask you is.
No, it wasn't Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah. I don't know who it was, because I'm not up on them. I mean, the only one I know about is Plato and Aristotle. But
It's by drop by drop.
I wanted to ask you about revisiting. When you had to go and revisit those events as you wrote your book,
Yeah.
that must have been hard. And how did that affect you while you were like, did you have to relive everything?
Sort of, but it's weird because where I'd gone from since my awakening,
Yeah.
I had gone from probably very reactive. Things would bring up and I'd start feeling those feelings to actually not feeling those things anymore.
Oh, good.
So it's almost like I'm looking at someone that's no longer alive.
Oh, good. So
my life
is like telling the story of someone.
Yeah.
I'm not quite recognizing them, but this is the story because I notice it's very done in a way in which you don't have judgmental language about what you went through. You're just telling the facts about what you went through, and which is great.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Just the facts, ma'am. So now that you have this best-selling book out on Amazon, how do you feel?
I want to go to Disneyland.
I mean, don't you want to go to Disneyland? Don't you feel, first of all, it's got to be a relief to...
Oh, like I don't, every day I kind of had that little, you should work on your book, you should work on your book, you should work on your book. But yeah.
But then you might still have that because do you have plans for a second book? And
no.
Can you give us a hint? Oh, no, yes.
But I think Sterling told me that too. He said, you're going to write a second book.
You are going to write another book.
I don't know what the heck I would talk about. Unless it's more stories about the fascination.
I'll tell you what you're going to talk about. The book is a journey of surrendering and forgiveness, and what you went through, or you can expand on that for people to understand that process, because your book is about, this book you wrote is about surrendering and forgiveness, a journey of that, and how it shifted you and changed you. And so now folks need the workbook. How do you get there? and Linda G has to walk you through the process of what that's like to surrender.
Most of it is just being present and getting out of your own way. You know, there's a psychic medium named George Anderson. Do you know who I'm talking about? He used to be very popular in the 80s. He's a very good medium. I just finally got an appointment with him for November. And he says, you know, I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's very hard just to teach someone to be a medium or a psychic.
Yeah.
There's no real class you can do.
Yeah.
Like my abilities I've always had some gift, but my abilities went through the roof when I had the awakening.
Yeah, because you cleared away all this ego stuff in the way, the filtering, and you already had that connection. It just allowed that connection to be really present. And that's what everybody has to do. And you can't do that for someone. They have to do it for themselves.
They have to do it. But if they don't have to buy a book to find out. All they got to do is breathe.
You know what? A book can help people to really expand and understand what that process is like. Those who have never walked through it do like to have some guidance on that.
Well, my version would be Eckhart Tolle's version, but maybe more in language people, because he kind of goes off.
I mean, you're very easy to understand. You talk in normal, everyday people language, and you're funny. So, I mean, everybody needs that humor. Even through your book, you have all this wonderful humor to lighten the load. And I think everyone relates to that and feels good about it.
Even in real life stuff. I mean, they said that chemo, I was probably going to lose a bunch of weight. I lost all my hair and my face was beat red. But they said, and then, you know, like, I guess that was the topping on the cake. And when I didn't drop a pound, I told them I wanted my money back. And they said, what? They said, you said I'd lose weight. Yeah, but you cured from cancer. I don't care. You said I'd lose weight.
I also like your, you know, with the breast cancer, no, just take them both. You're not leaving me with one. So you'd have one.
I know. Well, they said they'd take
one down here,
one and give me one that matches my. I said, wait a second. You're going to cut
Oh,
this
you
one off and give me one that hangs over my belly like this. Oh, hell no. Take them both. I used that on my stand-up, and the kids loved it.
That is hilarious and so true.
Yeah.
You know,
and then the hair grown. I had a little kinky curly hair growing in. In the meantime, the pubes went past my kneecap.
Oh my gosh. Well, making that humor about those tough things that you had to go through is really refreshing, and it gives everyone that sense of relief that there's light at the end of this tunnel.
There is.
So, you know, if as far as a complex and how complex was the self-publishing process, and how did you get to the decision of using that Amazon as your publishing platform? I mean, how
Tana has done several books that, you know, she sent me the copies on Amazon, and they're beautiful. The layout was beautiful. I said, Tana, you you just have, now I'm not good at laying stuff out, but she's good at it.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to self-publish because I don't want to have to wait for someone to say,
I would self-publish too. Yeah, absolutely. And you have
control
over
she did it for me. You know, I flew her out here. She stayed out here a week, and we got all the details for the book set up so she could work from Florida.
Right.
And then she flew out again to do the audio.
Excellent. Excellent. So she obviously is, and by the way, Tana Newberry, she has her own business. Mm-hmm. I think what is she? Her website, I just had it up in case anybody wants to connect with her. Hold on. It's, I think it's TanaNewberry.com.
She's always got something in the works.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, she's a dynamo, you can tell. But I think it's TanaNewberry.com. I should have gotten that out.
She's doing something with professional women.
Yeah.
And helping them, you know, create a business. And she's really good.
Yeah. And it is TanaNewberry.com.
But listen, you guys, I had no plans on marketing this book, none whatsoever. People are saying you can do this, you can do that. I have I don't.
You have your whole entire YouTube community. So, I mean, as far as
I really don't need to market it. Yeah.
I don't think you have your built-in marketing.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you were going to give tips to any of us that were budding authors in this community here, and I know a lot of people are, what would you give them about the writing process and the self-publishing process?
Well, don't push yourself. You got to have the desire.
Yeah.
And I find that allocating a certain time, because then the guides can work with you a little bit more. I mean, I can't say it was all guide related, but I would remember stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I just told a story, not a whole bunch of stories in one day. Each day I told a new story. And then I would remember another story. Because there was more stories I could tell, but
yeah.
I didn't want it to be too long either. It's just like my videos. I don't go for an hour. I strongly believe, you know, 45 minutes is the longest you should go. You'll notice you get more viewers. People don't want to sit for an hour.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
So do you have any predictions for us today politically?
Well, watch the Sterling video. A lot of stuff Sterling said.
Okay.
You know, I did predict that Princess Kate had cancer.
Yeah.
I said, she's got cancer and she's sick, you guys.
Yeah.
And she does. And I think when Lady Princess Diana kicked off her shoes and says she's in my shoes now, I think it's the overwhelming pressure from the media.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because it's like the poor girl, she couldn't keep this private. There's just no way.
There's no way. Absolutely.
I do feel the king has prostate cancer. Some people are announcing it, but it hasn't been announced by the palace. But I do see his lifespan, you know, maybe a couple of years, if that. It's very sad. And I also predicted that that young man that was missing in Tennessee, the young college student, would be found in the water. I didn't
Oh,
say found dead in the water. I said
right,
found in the water. My guy
right.
said it right away, kind of like that Gabby. Remember
Yeah,
that
Gabby
Gabby? I saw she was
Petito.
killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to
So
say, you have been so accurate on, I
why?
mean, you just have a track record that
I
is,
don't know why, because it's very sad, but they're not really dead, you know.
no,
But it's just you ask me, and then bada bing, bada
yeah,
boom.
you get it. You get it. Isn't
But
that
I
funny?
don't answer too many questions because you know death is not something you should be
Yeah.
talking about. But
Do-
I just couldn't help it. She said, "Where's that?
yeah, she
Where's that
came right
kid?"
to
And
you.
boom, I saw it.
Now,
I saw.
can I ask you, if you sat down and actually were talking to your guides all on your own and writing questions down and asking them, would it be as powerful as you getting a question from someone in the community and saying, Linda, what about this? Would you get better hits when somebody else asks the question? It's
Actually,
like,
it's almost the same. If you
it's
write it to
almost
me,
the same.
someone asked me, it's about the same. But
Okay.
it's just boom.
You
Somebody
get it.
wrote me and asked me about that kid. I
Yeah.
remember Linda, and I didn't know who he was. So I
Yeah.
had to look up his face. And I looked at his face, said, "Oh, they're going to find him in the water."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sure enough, they did.
They did. Yeah, your accuracy. When you say something, we all
Well,
pay
especially with
attention.
that, like that other actor that was hiking, I said, they won't find him. Not
Oh,
now.
yeah,
But
you were
he's
right
coming.
about that. Yeah. Yeah, I knew you were right about that when you said it because it had just been too long. And, but I have to say,
But he's not dead. You know what I'm saying? Because
oh,
I can see them vibrationally,
you
including
know,
the kid.
I
And he
love it
wants
in the book.
everybody to know he's fine.
He's, that one kid, I don't know if it was a motorcycle accident or what, and he's saying, tell my mom, I'm more alive now.
That was so profound. And Carol can tell you
It
deep.
is.
I came out of there. The mother was wailing, but I couldn't look at her because I was afraid I'd cry too.
Yes, of course. You're going to
And
get
that
close up
tall
in there
man with
talking.
crystal, he had crystal blue eyes, and he had a beard, and he was wearing motorcycle boots, and he came right through the wall. That was one of my profound experiences.
That's
So I started
profound.
telling her what he was saying, how he hit the truck, how he went to the hospital, how he could hear the screaming, how he had a girlfriend with 2 children that he'd never married, and he wished in that moment he had
Yeah.
married her. And then he just looked at me and said, Linda, tell her I'm more alive now than when I had a body.
Wow. That really is profound. And just knowing that there's life, this isn't life. We're in like a dream world here doing our little thing. And life is really when you're out of this meat suit.
Yeah. But you know, as you become connected to the realm, as you open up your heart and your soul and connecting, and ask them to help you. If you sit there and say, you know, I really don't feel, tell them, help me find my way. And they will help you if you just can relax your mind, because they can't move in clutter.
Yes.
You have to be a conduit. That which is like unto itself is drawn. You cannot create what you're not. And then allow them to come into you and present. Because first of all, they won't do it without your permission.
Absolutely true.
And second of all, they want you to be connected. They want, and in that peace, you'll always find the right way. Because even later in my life, when I ended up being kind of a jerk, I always had that feeling that something was wrong. Like that story of San Francisco when I was at the pub.
The kicking with your, I did ballet, so I could just.
I took that leg up and hit him every which way, wearing a tight dress.
And you wore heels then. You only wore heels, so, ow.
Yeah. So it was wonderful. It was
the image of that.
Yeah. But
and
then Bernard was driving up.
You're like 5'8", aren't you? Or you're
I'm 5'6.5", almost
5'6.5". So with heels, I mean, you could not.
But I was drunk and I was mad. And then when Bernard pulled up and said, Linda, some bloody effing girl just kicked some bloody effing guy's butt out in front of the pub. I said, it was me, Bernard. And he just, if you could see his face,
blood drained.
He said, oh, really?
He's scared now.
Yeah. Don't mess with me, Bernard.
Oh. Oh my God, Linda, you've led such a colorful life.
I've had some good times, my friend.
Yes.
And if you'll notice, I didn't talk about my menses except the one that I've
Yes.
loved for 43 years.
Yes.
In fact, I'm going to see him next week.
I was just going to ask that particular one.
That was a past life. That's as profound as I've ever had in meeting someone.
Full connection that you just recognized him.
It was almost like somewhere in time where she looked up and said, "Is it you?"
Yes.
It was like that.
I'm getting the chills.
And I didn't allow the realm. I got psychic years ago. He told me in a past life I was from Georgia. He didn't even know I was born in Georgia.
Yeah.
And he told me this particular relationship would take, I remember it was an outrageous like 40, 50 years. And it's like, I knocked off what he said thinking he didn't know what he was talking about. But, we seem to be even better friends now and things are going really nice. Just to know him, he's a genius in so many arenas.
I think that's beautiful.
But I've known him in life before.
Yeah, you absolutely have a soul relationship with that person. And so it doesn't matter if you're physically in the same place or not. You're connected so powerfully that even you pick up exactly where you left off, like there's no time in between.
Now, he's not that type of person. Even when I told him, past life, he doesn't understand that.
No.
But we're going along in age now. So he's getting, I think, more. Instead of, no, never mind, he's listening.
Yeah, because the energy's shifting, Linda. And even those who haven't really given the concepts of energy and things that happen in the world connected to the spirit realm or the veil is thinning. I don't think there is a veil. I think now energy is just there. And if you get rid of a lot of your ego stuff in the way, you're just going to have all this connection.
Exactly.
But that's how I feel about it. But I'm so excited. Thank you for coming on my channel. And thank you for talking about your book and the self-publishing process. And everyone, you can go to Amazon.com. Just type in Linda Grindell. You will be able to get her book
it'll say,
right up there.
It'll say, you mean this piece?
It'll say that. If you're too tired to do that, go down below, click the link. I have a link to Amazon.
Yeah.
To Linda's book. And I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me on. It's so kind of you.
I'm delighted. And
I'm still not quite like real comfortable about the book. I don't know why, but I'm surprised. I'm overwhelmed by that. I think
I think it takes a little bit for you to step into your author shoes and wear that, like, yes, I wrote a book. Yes, I'm an author.
Yeah. Or as Kevin will say, Kevin, the healing medium. Like I used to say, I don't remember who said this, but I said, enough about me. What do you think of me?
Yeah, exactly.
That's me, you guys.
But I think you're just really you're humble. You're just humble, and you never.
I don't know if it's humble. I'm actually in shock. Whoa.
Well, everyone, I have the best-selling author Linda Grindell here, and I'm thanking her so much for her contribution to our awakening process with this.
And I don't really talk about YouTube in there, you guys. I talk about my peoples in YouTube.
Yeah.
But I don't get into the YouTube thing or my predictions too much. I don't get into politics at all.
Yeah.
Just because I kind of wanted it to open a door, even if it's a Trumpster that reads it. And
absolutely, and it will.
Yeah, I wanted to open the door, and I don't talk about any of my ex-husbands. I've been married.
I go there. You're already.
I'm already healed, and also, I didn't love myself enough, so I couldn't attract something that was good.
Exactly. I think that was a really good decision. I think you got the core of everything that you needed in here.
Yeah.
Really beautiful, powerful moments in here that transform. And it really, you get to understand what a person has lived through and what can happen if they surrender. And when you forgive yourself and others for whatever has gone on, you are like an open gateway to light and information coming in. Yeah. So thank you, Linda.
Thank you,
and thank you everyone for joining us. Yeah, I really appreciate you all here. And thank you for being with us today. And Linda, I'm honored that you came.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Now the audio will probably come out. Tana is in Arizona right now. So she's going back this next week to Florida, and then she starts on it. So give it till like the first week, second week, but don't worry, I'll announce to everybody. I got it.
Great. Good to know. Good to know, everyone. Go out and order Linda's book if you haven't already. Amazon.com. And yeah, we'll stay tuned for the audio version.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
Bye-bye.